Hello and welcome. This video is brought to you by the Minnesota Department of Health. We are going to show viewers like you about the rights people have when living at group homes and residences that are supervised. This video shows how people have the right to have complaints and the right to file complaints. You have the right to be heard and file a complaint at your residence. You'll see a couple different examples for filing complaints, and then what you can do if this were to happen to you. Let's start with why people file complaints. The main reason a person files a complaint is if he or she feels her rights are being ignored. In other words, if the person feels he or she is being treated unfairly. Residents at group homes have the right to speak up about their rights and file complaints. The residents must make information on how to file a complaint available to its residents. Here is an example of what you should do if this happens to you.
Hi, can I have everyone's attention, please? I just need to let you know that we've changed the cell phone usage policy. Can you grab that?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. As of today, you'll no longer be able to make or receive calls in your own private rooms, but it's still okay to use them in the common areas, such as the living room or the dining room.
I don't understand. I was always able to use my cell phone in my own room. Plus, I like Facebook.
Okay.
I don't agree with the change. It's too noisy in the living room, and I won't be able to hear the person on the phone.
I agree with Mark and Mary. It's too noisy, and don't we have a right to privacy when making phone calls?
I agree with Reed. It's not fair. I am going to file a complaint.
How do we file a complaint?
What you just saw are residents who feel they have been treated unfairly. If you feel like you are being treated unfairly, you have the right to file a complaint. The group home must post the complaint policy in a place at the residence that is easy to find. When asked, the group home must assist its residents to file a complaint. The policy information must include contact information for the Office of Health Facility Complaints and for the Minnesota Ombudsman. You have the right to speak up about your rights and file complaints if you feel you are being treated unfairly. Residents are encouraged to voice their recommendations and ideas about policy and service changes. The group home must have a complaint policy to make sure all residents' complaints are heard and quickly work to answer the complaints fairly.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Mandy mentioned you wanted to speak with me.
Yes, we wanted to speak to you about some concerns we have for the $1 service charge being added to the activities program.
Why are you making us pay for the program? We never had to pay for it before.
Well, we made the change because we needed to cover the cost of printing the programs. We took a look at what we were spending every month, and it was quite a lot. So we decided that anybody who wanted a copy of the activities program could pay a small fee of $1. Any questions?
Well, why we shouldn't have to pay for this activity program? I'm going to file a complaint.
I agree. I'm going to file a complaint as well.
All right.
What you just saw are residents who feel the change in policy is unfair, so they want to file a complaint. The group home must make information on how to file a complaint available to the residents. The group home must post the complaint policy in a place at the residence that is easy to find. The group home must have a written complaint procedure that includes the process for complaints, the time limit for making a complaint, the time limit for staff to respond to a complaint, if you ask to have an advocate to help you, a written response to written complaints, and an impartial decision maker for complaints that are not resolved. Know your rights. If you want to file a complaint or report suspected maltreatment of a vulnerable adult, call the Minnesota Adult Abuse Reporting Center, MAARC, at 1-844-880-1574. Staff are available to take your call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Minnesota encourages good faith reporting of suspected maltreatment of vulnerable adults by any person. If you make a report, your identity is confidential and cannot be released without a court order. You can also go to the Minnesota Department of Health website for a full list of the Bill of Rights for supervised living facilities and other videos. www.health.state.mn.us. For Minnesota residents, contact the Office of Ombudsman for Mental Health and Developmental Disabilities, OMHDD. Know your rights. If you or someone you know is in need of legal aid, the Minnesota Disability Law Center, MDLC, provides free, civil, legal assistance to individuals with disabilities statewide on legal issues related to their disabilities. Abuse and neglect issues are a high priority for the Minnesota Disability Law Center. For assistance, visit the Mid-Minnesota Legal Aid Minnesota Disability Law Center website at www.mylegalaid.org or call 1-800-292-4150. You can also reach the Minnesota Disability Law Center by email at mndlc@myglegalaid.org.